Hi, I'm Philip Murke and thanks for tuning into my YouTube channel. Today it's all about jazz licks and variations, so that the jazz licks no longer sound like rehearsed phrases, but as if they just had been improvised. When practicing a musical phrase, you should always immediately practice many possible variations. The famous jazz pianist Kenny Barron did this way. Let's compare the same passage with different choruses. Watch how he changes the same lick over and over. Kenny uses a very famous textbook jazz lick. Quite often, this lick is preceded by a 2 minor 7 arpeggio. Here's an example of John Coltrane's solo from Giant Steps. Another example, this time by Cannonball Adderley. He changes the octave of our textbook lick. In order to use a jazz lick in improvisation, you must be aware of its melodic and harmonic structure. For this purpose, the individual notes are analyzed with intervallic designations, matching the current chord. If you were to play this lick exactly the same way over corresponding chord progressions, you would be a typical beginner lick player. But with the following super tricks, I will show you, every listener will believe that you are improvising everything on spot. So, the first task, we leave the arpeggio of the D minor 7 chord as it is, but change the last 3 notes of the G7 chord with scale passages and enclosures. And already the lick sounds completely different. Another technique is to change the lick rhythmically. The rhythm that now follows has established itself in the jazz world. By the way, the lick can now of course be played in other keys. In order to surprise the listener, the following super trick can be used.
Instead of resolving from the 9th to the G7 to the 5th of the C major, a chromatic approach is now used. In our example, that would be an F sharp, that is the augmented fourth or so-called sharp 11. Melodically, the approach becomes even stronger when it's extended with an additional approach from above.
Now that was technical jargon. Less talk, more music. I'm just going to show you what I mean. And now the whole thing again without interruption. You've already learned about enclosures. We use this technique to extend a lick with an upbeat. It sounds super hip, and thanks to the upbeat, 70% of the lick won't sound like a lick anymore. So here are a few examples with double and triple enclosures. And now the whole thing again without interruption. Embellishments or ornamentations are there to enrich the score to make music seem more alive, as if it's improvised. In jazz, a so-called Pralltriller is very often used. Different performances are possible and desired. Here are some examples with the already known variations techniques. And now the whole thing again without interruption. What also works great to make a lick not sound rehearsed is to start the lick on a different beat. When a phrase starts on beat 1, the lick almost always sounds rehearsed. Here are 3 possible examples on the topic of rhythmic displacement. It is also very common to change the octave position within the lick. The second tone is ideally suited for this purpose. Suddenly, the lick sounds completely different, quasi 1 makes 2. But you really have to practice that, because here the fingerings change completely. But it's worth it. Here are a few possible examples. Let's summarize what we have in terms of variations. Alterations such as flat 9, tone scale selections, approaches and enclosures, rhythmic variations, rhythmic changes with triplets, unexpected resolution with sharp 11 endings, pickups with double and triple approaches, embellishments or ornamentations, rhythmic displacement by 1, 2, 3, 8 notes earlier, and change of the octave position after the second note. To give you a demonstration of the countless possible variations, I have composed an etude in the circle of fifths with many variations of our lick. That was really fun to practice. Okay, we can now play the lick with many variations in all keys, have composed and practiced an etude, and now? One of my favorite saying is, know, be able to, and apply. Know and be able we have already done. Now we should apply the lick over jazz standards. I would like to demonstrate my approach with the famous jazz standard Confirmation by Charlie Parker. First, I practice a specific variation of the lick over all 2/5 chord progressions. For this video, I have written down a few examples, and some examples I really had to practice. Then I composed short solo variations combining different variations musically. And I have to say that sounds really authentic. And remember, it's only the one lick that I'm varying here. But the most important thing is the actual improvisation over the chord progression. That was really frustrating for me at first because my improvisation didn't sound as sophisticated as my composed etudes. But I knew that I should spend at least as much time in the real improvisation as in the practice of the etudes. Therefore, I strictly set a timer and divided my time as follows. Practice 20 minutes of pre-composed confirmation etudes, also in different tempos, transpositions into different keys, variations with the left-hand comping, and so on. Then 20 minutes of improvisation over the chord progression with the most important goal: never stop and keep the time. And the lick must not and should not occur in every 2/5 progression. Well, so here's a snippet of my current improvisation ability with lick number 1 over the chord progression of Confirmation bar 1 to 8. Hope you like it. Please let me know in the comments if you like this topic and if you are interested in more jazz lick variations. And if you like this video, please press the like button and subscribe to the channel to receive new content every week. Thank you.